What's up, guys? All right, back out here today, and it is chilly. I'm not happy about the weather right now. Just last week, it was like 70. It's like 30 something. But this is a video requested by you all. I've touted in other videos that the Wilson Combat EDC X9 is my favorite pistol, and it was at the time. I've also said that the Sig P226 Zev is my favorite pistol, and it possibly could be at this time. And as you can see, they're both set up pretty much the same. And today we're going to do a comparison video of these two, and I am going to pick a final winner of which one of these two pistols are my favorite pistols. We're going to put a few rounds through them. We're going to talk about the recoil. We're going to talk about the triggers. We'll probably take them out to about 40 some yards and try to hit some steel. It's like an, I don't know, probably about like a 15 by 18 or 16 by 18 piece of steel out at 40 yards, which isn't that hard to do, actually. I found out in another video, but hey, it's still shooting at some distance, and it's a little bit smaller than a man-sized target, so there is that. But we're going to be comparing these two today, and you all asked for this and want to know what my favorite pistol was. If I could only have one, which one would it be? We're going to decide that right now. Okay, so both these pistols actually come with 15 round magazines. And the way the Wilson is set up, the 15 rounders will still fit, but it's made for the 18 rounders. And I never run a 15 rounder in the Zev. I always run a 20 rounder. So both these are not apples to apples as far as the round count goes, but I put 15 rounds in each of these magazines to put on target. And then we're going to talk about like the recoil. We're going to check the triggers and stuff like that. And I'll give you my opinion on both of them as far as those items go. Then we'll back it on out, like I said, about 40 some yards and see how accurate they are. All right before we get into the shooting part of this video, I do want to tell you a little bit about the pistols. You can see right here, Wilson Combat did an incredible job at making this pistol. The lines, it is super tight. The pistol is just elegant. I mean, it is just an amazing looking pistol. Neither one of them have grip safeties. They're both single actions. Both of them have ambidextrous safeties, and they both fit well in the hand. Let me take a look at the Zev. Here again, single action, safety, ambidextrous. Just the lines of this pistol, Zev did a great job. A lot of people say, hey, Zev just took a 226 and kind of milled it out. And you're right. You're right. That's exactly what they did. But look at it. They just milled it out, but look at it. And they changed the grips. I didn't do any of those mods YouTube. That was all done factory from Zev. But this gun just feels incredible in your hands. If you've never picked one of these up, I've said it before, if you've never picked one up, go pick one up because it just fits like a glove. Now, as far as tightness goes, there's a little bit of wiggle in the Zev and hardly none at all in the Wilson. You hear the spring a little bit in the Wilson, but it is buttery smooth. The Sig or Zev, not quite as smooth. So if you're going by just the smoothness of the slide alone, it is going to be hard to beat the Zev. Even my staccatos could not beat, it's going to be hard to beat the Wilson. Even my staccatos could not beat the Wilson in smoothness. This gun is just like it's on rails. And it is actually on rails, but it's like it's just on bearings, I guess is what I meant to say. It just glides across those slide rails. But enough talking, let's get to shooting. All right, guys, first up is going to be the Zev, and I think my ear probe batteries went dead. But first up is going to be the Zev. We're going to kind of take about 15 shots through it at a target about 10 yards away, and just kind of focus on the trigger and the recoil and just how it feels in your hand. We'll do the same thing with the Wilson, and I'll tell you my final thoughts on those two. All right, guys, as usual, I rode the slide stop. all Sig products I basically ride the slide stops on, and that's just a training thing. As much as I shoot this gun, you think I'd get used to that, but I'm not. I still ride the slide stops on this gun and most Sig products, like I said. And this gun is probably, with everything I've done off camera and on camera, we're within a few hundred rounds of having 1,000 rounds through this gun. So here in a little bit, I can actually do a 1,000 round review of this pistol, but I can tell you up to this point, it has been flawless. This gun has just ran and ran and ran. Now let's take a look at the trigger. All right, there's a little bit of take up right there, not much, and you don't even feel it. I mean, it's slick as a ribbon coming into that wall. There's just no grit, no grime, no hesitation, no resistance, no nothing. You hit that wall, it breaks. As soon as it breaks, the trigger stops. There's not much over travel at all. The trigger just stops. Here's your reset. Your finger just barely moves, it's reset. Your safety has a very, very audible click. I would not care at all to carry this gun cocked and locked. The recoil, as you've seen, is very, very manageable. And again, it just fits in the hand like a glove. I think that is why I like this pistol so much. I like the design of it. I like what Zev has done with it. But I think how it fits in my hand is what makes me like this pistol as much as I like this pistol. It isn't necessarily the 226 design, because as you've seen, I ride the slide stop every time I shoot it. But the way it just feels, I mean, there's like actually not much grip at all. I mean, the grip is just, it's like they took a mold of my hand and made this gun for it. That'd be the best way for me to explain it. But let's shoot the Wilson and see what I think about it. Okay guys, again, 15 rounds, Wilson Combat EDC X9. Forgot to turn on the optic. There we go. Okay guys, recoil really not bad on this one either. And the way they have this X pattern checkering on this gun, it really locks it into your hand. I'm gonna say it actually locks the gun into your hand better than the Zev actually locks. As good as this feels, it's not as textury as this X pattern is. And just looking at that, you wouldn't think it would be, but it really, really locks into your hand. But let's take a look at the trigger. So here's your trigger. Again, no grip safety, 1911 style, but no grip safety. Very little take up. Feels like the take up between these two guns are really, really close, because the Zev don't hardly have any either, but there's a little take up right there. Hit that wall, it breaks. And again, let's try that again. Let me really focus on the over travel. Really not much over travel on this one either. I would say that's very comparative between the two. Your reset is basically nothing. The only reason I'm going to give the edge to the Wilson Combat as far as triggers go is because it has a 1911 style trigger, and this trigger is just straight back and forth. Whereas the Zev has a hinge trigger at the top. This is going to be a little bit easier shooting, especially for people that haven't been shooting as long as I have or other people have. If you're more new to the gun world, a 1911 trigger is easier to get used to, because again, it is just straight back, straight forward. There's no hinge in it to really allow you to get any kind of, you know, bad trigger control on it. So I'm going to give the edge to the Wilson Combat as far as trigger goes, and I have to give the edge to the Wilson Combat as far as it locking into your hand. Just how sturdy the gun feels in your hand. But I will say the Wilson Combat does not feel as good as the Zev feels in my hand. Recoil between the two, I felt like this has a little bit lower bore axis, so the recoil on this did not feel as bad. I would have to watch the video to really see it. You all will be able to see that before I will, but the recoil, if I had to say one of the two, felt less. I think the Wilson Combat might have felt just a little bit less. Is it enough to make a difference? I don't think it's enough to make a difference. But if I had to pick just one, the Wilson would definitely seem like I mean, by like this much, we're splitting hairs here, would have less recoil. And if you noticed, I didn't ride the slide stop on this. It stopped. So the Wilson seems to be edging out the Zev, except it does not feel as good in my hand. And I also want those out here. We're gonna make some people mad here, probably. I hate Sig optics, but as big as this window is and as small as this Trijicon window is, I'm giving the edge to the Sig optic, even though it's nowhere near as durable as this. Now, I know we're not comparing optics here, we're just comparing guns, but as far as the optic goes, I think the larger window is better in my opinion. This one's super dirty, but that's where we stand at for right now. Now, let's scoot back to about 40 some yards, about 40, 42 yards. We have this small piece of steel down here, again, smaller than a man-sized target. We're gonna shoot about 10 rounds at it, because that's what we've been doing in these comparison videos, and we're gonna see how many times we can hit this steel at 40 some yards out of 10 times with each pistol. Test the accuracy just a little bit. Before we scoot back, I do want to kind of talk about the magazines. The Sig is easier to load than the Wilson. Not that that makes a big deal. The Wilson isn't that hard to load, but if I had to give an edge to one of the two, this Sig 20 round magazine is much easier to load. I ain't gonna say much. It's easier to load because you have like this cutout right here in the front where you can kind of get the back of the round into it, whereas this one just kind of squares off. So it's easier to load the Wilson, if that makes a difference to you. All right, guys, first up is the Zev, about 40 yards. Tell me we can hit. You'll be able to hear it. Okay, so that was 9 out of 10. We actually started shooting a little faster at the end and we're still able to make hits at 40 yards. This gun is just accurate and it just shoots good. I've always been able to shoot good with this platform, but with the Zev, the way they did the grip and stuff, I actually think this grip has been reduced a little bit the more I use it than like a standard like Legion or 226. I had a Legion that I actually traded in on this gun. The Legion wasn't optics cut, or I'd probably kept it. I wanted an optics cut 226, but I do not regret that at all. But I think this grip is a little bit reduced, and it just feels better in my hand. But you can see right there, I seen where I missed the first shot. It was a little bit left. That was just me yanking the trigger, but the other 9 dinged the steel all the time. If you're curious, let me turn this around. I'll show you. Way down there is the steel. So we're right at 40, 42 yards. Let me go get the Wilson Combat, see how I do with it. All right, guys, next up is the Wilson Combat. Same distance, 40, 42 yards. And we're gonna see how many times we can ding that steel with this one. Okay, you might see me looking there at the end. I feel like this dot has moved. It doesn't appear like the screws have moved or anything like that, but I feel like my dot has shifted just a little bit. When I was shooting it, it looked like it had moved way left in the reticle, and it still appears like it has moved. I don't know if the dot has shifted. Wilson Combat installed this dot, I did not. So when I get home, I may take this off, re-Loctite it, and re-torque it down. But I was still able to get, I think it was 8. I think I missed the first 2. I'd have to go back and watch. When I seen the dot going off, I was like, it distracted me for a minute. But I think I got 8 out of the 10, but I had to aim way left on the target to get it because of where the dot had moved to. But we were still able to make hits. So that's all that matters, I guess. The gun is very accurate. If you watch my other videos, this gun is very accurate. I just think my dot shifted on me. It does look like it's shifted. So there again, it could just be some kind of torque issue with the dot, or it could be a problem with the Trijicon. I had a Trijicon right out of the box that was messed up. And had to send it back. So it could be a Trijicon thing, or it could have just shifted. But we'll do some more testing with that, and I'll give you an update on that when I figure something out. All right, guys. Now you may have said, hey, you didn't put a lot of rounds through those guns today. How can you decide, which one you like the best? I have, like I said, close to 1,000 rounds through both of these pistols. And that's enough time behind a pistol to decide which one you're going to like best and which one it comes in second. And that's what this is all, coming down to. These are by far my favorite 2 pistols that I own. And if I could only own one, I'm going to tell you right now, it'd be the Zev. I love my Wilson Combat, I do. It's an amazing pistol. It's very accurate. And I know this isn't a total fair comparison because they're 2 different categories. This is a full-size pistol and that's a compact. But that's not what we're comparing today. We're comparing my favorite pistol, in my opinion, and the Zev wins. I know we talked about the recoil might have been a little less on the Wilson, and it was a little bit, more secure feeling in your hand. The Sig does have a very long line of reliability and being used in the military. The SEALs use this gun for a long time. I just feel comfortable when I pick this gun up that I know it's going to go boom when I pull the trigger. I don't think the Wilson Combat will not ever go boom. It is a custom gun. It does have tighter tolerances. And there again, we're not comparing things like that as much. But this just feels better in my hand, in my opinion. And when I go to the gun safe and I'm gonna pick a gun up to use for home defense, or I'm gonna pick a gun up just to kind of oogle over, it's always the Zev. The Zev always comes out of the safe, and the Wilson Combat sits in there way more than this pistol does right here. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Have you ever held a Zev? Have you ever held the Wilson Combat EDC X9? And if you have, if you've shot both, tell me which one you'd pick. A lot of you would probably pick the Wilson. And that's fine, because it is such a close race that I could easily have picked the Wilson. But this gun, with its, reputation and just the way it feels in my hand and its pointability, this is the one that takes the cake for me. Again, let me know what you think in the comments section below. I appreciate you watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.